All right, so quick programming note. I know last week we promised that we would record right after the episode. That's probably like never gonna happen now. We're just gonna do it the day after. You know, people
Someone's
have lives.
unemployment is ending. That's why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, stuff
Someone
happens, but
has to
we're here.
work, like the rest of
Yeah,
us.
yeah. People have to work. People are in school, just other like life
It'll probably
stuff.
be
But
more feasible because in a few months they're finally moving me to a normal shift, so may not have to be this late.
imagine that. But yeah,
Oh my
but yeah,
god.
we're here to recap episode two of The Last of Us, entitled "Infected." But Courtney, how's it going?
It's good. It's a great episode.
Yeah,
No, yeah, I have no notes.
yeah. So the only it's not really a note, but I guess if just
Is
to
it what you
say
told me?
no, yeah, we'll get to
Oh.
that. We'll get to that. But yeah. So if the first episode was about like more of like building the plot. This was about like building out the setting because this episode really focused on like what the world like looks like at this time. But
Hmm.
before we get into that, like let's start with the opening clip. And if they do this with like at the beginning of every episode, I think that's a good direction because it's like giving you
Hmm.
bits of how the zombie apocalypse came to be essentially. Um
It was so
s-
good.
yeah, so good. So
My college is
after
everywhere saying recognition.
so yeah, we get to see pretty much like maybe not like patient like zero of like the zombie apocalypse, more like patient like 14. But we
First
get to
known
see like
patient, yeah.
yeah, we get to like see like how this came to be the first known patient, and also the reaction from someone well versed in the medical field on what they should do. And her solution was like just bomb everything, burn everything down.
That was like her
So
first reaction. She's like, "We're fucked."
yeah. So it sets the stage to like let you know like how serious like this is. Like there was like absolutely nothing else she thought that we could do. Like it's a wrap from here on out. Like based on what she saw, she was like, how did this happen? Like how is this like surviving in a human like basically like how yeah in a human host, like how is this like surviving? And when she saw that, she was like, yeah, we're doomed.
We're cooked.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like the way that it opens to kind of like set the mood of like showing you like how serious this all is. And it took it back to Jakarta. That was Jakarta, right? Yeah, they
Hmm.
were in Indonesia. Yeah.
And
So that
apparently, like in real life, like they are like one of the biggest flower producers and exporters in the world.
and they mentioned that in this episode, which is a call back to the first episode, um when Courtney, you made note of this, they were declining like cake and
Cookies, cake.
cookies,
They forgot to get the cake.
yeah,
They
things
didn't
that
make
would have
pancakes that
flour in it.
morning.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no
And
pancakes.
he's like, "I'm on the
They
Atkins diet," which I haven't heard since like
right,
2003.
right, right. So the creators of the show, like Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, like they like all but confirmed this. They like kind of like gave a wink, like yeah, it's definitely that's how it transmitted. It was like through the flour because this is like the largest like flour producer for the world, and yeah, that's how it spread so
And
easily.
basically, yeah, it's a fungus. So at the end of the day,
Hmm.
like you know what's in most breads? Yeast. So
Right.
that's why she's like, it's a perfect vector. Because it's not unheard of. It's not like that hasn't happened before. It's just not a fungus like this. So it's just it may I'm glad they added this science to it. Because I'm like,
Right.
that actually is very plausible that
Hmm.
that could happen that way. Um, so I love that because that was not in the game.
Yeah, and that's what like makes this work. Like the science underneath like really works. Like it's not like implausible. Like you're like, oh, like yeah, that like when you think about it, it works. And matter of fact, like the way we're trending, like going back to like the prologue of the first episode, like yeah, like not only is it plausible, like based on the conditions of the world, like as is, like these things can indeed happen. Like, yeah, that's scary within itself.
Yep. Just because, like I said, it's like a very. It's why we love, Shaun of the Dead and things like that. It's a very realistic
Mhm.
zombie. It's not a virus, but most of the time it's a virus. It's like a very realistic form. So it makes sense. And I think that's what's freakish. It like it plays into the fact that I think they adapted it in a way that's conscious of the fact that a pandemic has happened, because when the game came out, a pandemic had not happened.
Mhm.
So I think they play into that because now I think this is like the first like big zombie form of media since the pandemic, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's new, which is so before it's like, oh, that would never happen, but now it's like, um, it happened. So I love that, and again, it's like it's just the raw realism because Jakarta is like a very warm place, so it's more plausible that the fungi there have adapted to heat more. So
Mhm.
I love that they brought in a mycologist. It just again it makes the realism so much better
Right,
because
right.
no one else would really know what to do about it except a mycologist. Like even an
Mhm.
epidemiologist, mycologist is the person. So the
Right.
fact that they like took her away from like a nice lunch. He's like, how do you know how I'm the person? They're like, you're like the professor at
You're
University of
like the person.
Indonesia. She's like, oh shit. She's like, why would
Yeah.
again? You're like, why would you need me? I study mushrooms.
You're the person we need. Yeah.
That's scary because it's like you're like normally my area of study isn't of note to the government. So why are you
Mhm.
taking me? And then it
Mhm.
dawns on her, and she's like, let me go be with my family.
Yeah.
That's how
She's
you
like,
know
I
it was
just want to
bad.
chill with my family. Yeah. Ah, yeah.
And
All
that was
right.
like
So,
30 hours, I think, before it reached.
uh-huh.
Yeah,
So
30
yeah, just that
hours,
quick.
and
Yeah.
that's how. But I mean, I think they said like with certain methods of infection, it's like up to 8 hours.
Hmm.
So that makes sense. Scary.
That is scary. But yeah, in the
And we
year
got to see more of the
2023,
actual, more than just the runners.
yeah,
If you want to get into that,
yeah. Let's jump into the year 2023.
right?
So
We're just like, oh shit, this is very realistic. It's like when you talk about it, it's like,
yeah.
oh god.
But yeah, in the present day, they need to transport Ellie to the rendezvous point essentially. So they have two options to take a short way, which is heavily affected, or take the long way, which is like less affected, but it's still the long way. So obviously they opt to take the long way, which still isn't the best plan because when they go through the hotel and reach a certain point, they notice like, oh, it's been like boarded off. But before I go any further, I want to make note of one like change that I think is like really cool that I think adapts to like the big screen better than it does the game. Last week we talked about the spores or the lack thereof. The way that they explain how like zombies communicate, like and
Yes,
how like they're all like interconnected and they're a network and you could step on one and they communicate with each other and they know where you're located.
but
That is
it's not just a
so
hive
much
mind; it
cooler.
has to be connected to the
Right.
fungus, which I thought that was so. Because I mean, hive mind is like, but like the fact that like it has to be connected to them, and 90% of the time when they're dormant, they're on the ground.
Right.
Because funguses prefer cold, towards the ground,
Mhm.
dark places. It makes so much sense. It's so smart.
Yeah, and like I said, typically, like I say all the time, I hate exposition, but the way they were breaking it down, like I'm glad that it's adding like this little bit of detail
It's
because it's
needed exposition because
yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
I would have picked that up.
yeah. So it not only is it serving as like a plot device to explain how this works, it also sets up some foreshadowing for later, which we'll get to. But yeah, like that's really cool because I will say having the spores would have taken away something because the creators of the show said like yeah basically we don't want our main stars with like wearing like a mask the entire time, so like how can we like make this better for the big screen, and this is like 10 times better in my opinion.
Because I think they want to stick with it being as realistic as possible. And they said that spores as it is, it doesn't work. But they said they might find a way to work it in for season two. But
Hmm.
I appreciate it. I think it was genius.
Hmm.
Because like I said, it's not like we. I think it's more of a way to also tell if an area has infected in it. Because if it doesn't have all of those vines or whatever, it doesn't have infected. But like when they later on when they dawn upon the museum, that's how you can tell. It's like, oh shit, because it's all over the building.
And yeah,
Sorry.
we start to see like I guess the different stages of it as well. Like because we know what someone looks like when they like just been infected, but we also see like various like
You get the guy with like the
stages.
one eye, and it's
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
early on, before you even see a clicker, like very early on, you see the guy with the, and I thought that was great.
Yeah, yeah, because it goes back to what Joel said. Ellie asked like how long can the infected survive? Like, oh yeah, they can survive like a few months, but we there are some that we know that have lived for like 20 years. So yeah, like this, there's like an evolution of this as well. It shows that like this organism is like in the worst way possible, like evolving, and you get various stages of that along the way. And I'm curious to see like how they explore that and how they introduce like
Because
different
there was the
stages of
stages
like
in
the
the
infected.
game,
Right. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
so I'll go over a theory of the game. If I played the game, obviously skip this. So if you notice, like if you get to the bloaters and whatnot, like they kind of get larger.
Hmm.
There's this theory because this is how the fungus works in insects, is that it kind of how it survives is it basically hollows you out, like
Hmm.
it goes off of the body fat. So the theory is that like the runners are typically, you notice like they're like way thinner and such, like
Hmm.
they die off faster. But if you notice, like I said, the Blurs one, they inflame from. They said there's such science even in the game, like antihistamines play. They're like there was like one guy who's like a biologist like reviewing it. He's like, wow, I could tell that they. He's like, that's an allergic reaction on that skin. I'm like, how would you like the fact that the
Hmm.
game writers even thought of that is great. But we'll get to see later on is that the more body fat you have, um, the more likely you are to live because there's more for the fungus to feed on. Because
Yep.
it is not photosynthesize. Fungus does
No.
not. So which is why it likes dark places.
Hmm.
So things to think about. I'm pretty sure they'll do that because it makes sense, but it kind of depends on who you are as a person, basically, whether you survive for very long.
Yeah, which
Which is
is
creepy to think about. It's just like,
yeah, which is yeah.
but I like a lot of things they incorporate. I love the changes they again, I love the changes they made from the game. It makes more sense.
Hmm.
We'll get into that part. Um, I like I said, I every time I've seen a change, I think it's been for the better.
Right,
For the
right.
screen because it makes way more sense. I just again, they're so true to the game, but also they're like, how can we make this make a little bit more sense? And it's just beautiful. Um,
Right,
they're
because
still
like
in
that's
Boston, and it's a terrible
yeah, it's still in
place.
Boston. Yeah, because I was gonna say that's like truly what like adaptation means is like changing it like across like one medium to another. Like so like I was reading an interview from Neil
Hmm.
Druckmann and Craig Mason earlier, and Neil Druckmann was like, yeah, these are things that like I wish I would have even thought of to do like in the game, but it like just wasn't possible for like that format, but it works on TV. So yeah, like you said, every change they're making, like it makes sense. It's not like just to change it for like no reason.
And it's not like egos either. I think like that
Right.
they're really truly invested in this story because it's a great story. It's one of the greatest narratives, and in my mind, in gaming. Period. I think it's
Hmm.
wonderful. But so yeah, we get to the hotel, which they have some word for word dialogue, which is fantastic. About the where Ellie was like ding ding, like
Hmm.
trying to get the front desk just playing along, like that's word for word a scene in the game. Again, fantastic. Um, I like how they have the ducks there and they're just vibing. They don't have to worry. And it makes me want to look up the average body temperature of ducks to see why they're fine. um, But I think that like it was creepy, but it was stunning in a way where they had the flooded hotel, like this grand hotel room. But it looked beautiful because it's like, oh, nature's taking back over
Right, right.
in a way. Oh, and this is what I was gonna say, but I forgot. One of the I really like how they do like it's like this network. Like she mentions how it runs underground for miles and
Hmm.
miles and miles, and they took that from like a real life fungus. Like the I think it's the world's largest organism is like a 6 mile fungus that runs underground. I don't know if it's that many miles. I know it's around that many miles, so it makes sense. I love that again they're taking it from real life because it's something fungus can do.
Right.
So again, it's just you have to watch it more than once to be able to pick up on those things. And I only know this stuff is because I listen to a science podcast because I'm not a fun person. And there was a mycology episode, and I learned so much about mushrooms. And I'm like, oh my God, and funguses. I'm like, I never thought this was going to be useful. And for once, it's useful.
Yeah, I was about to say, who knew that would like be useful information? Like here we
I
are
wonder
though.
if there's like mycologists in the world that are like, oh,
Yeah, like
yes.
you have
Because
to
like that's just
think.
not like a big. I mean, I don't want to put down, but it's not like it's not like a sexy
Right.
field of study. So I wonder if that right. I wonder how many right now are just getting so many media calls.
Yeah.
They should
Like you
because
have
like
to
if I
think they're
knew a
like
mycologist, I'd
this
be
is our
like, hop
time.
on. If you're a mycologist, please, we would
Yeah,
love to talk
please.
to you.
Like I
I'm
will
trying to
clear
think if
the
I know
floor and just let
one.
you talk. Yeah.
Yeah, because could you imagine just being one? Like, because from what I've heard, like this is like pretty. They say they're doing it pretty well. So congratulations to mycologists.
Yeah, if people within the trade are like watching a TV show and they're like, "Yeah, I don't have anything to say," like you're doing a good job. And from every like in the few like interviews I have seen from like people in that field, they're like, "Yeah, this show is pretty much true to the science." So yeah.
They did the PPE protocol correctly, which is very rarely
Hmm.
done. And they had her. I was like, wow,
Hmm.
that's correct. Because normally they have them like without gloves. I'm like, why would you touch that without gloves? It's infuriating. It's gross. But anyway, we're back at the hotel. And then we really get to see how truly well Boston hasn't changed, but how the rest of the world has probably changed.
Yeah. 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 I think it was a once they got out and they saw like the leaning buildings like in the cars that are like vacant, like I think it really like sets like a like set stage for like how this world looks right now. I mean that's how Boston should look anyway, but it sets stage for like how the world like
It's the
currently
realism
looks.
is so
Right. Right.
they
Like
didn't even
these
have to
like
they didn't have to make a set. They just went to Boston and that's what it looked like.
like these sprawling
That's
like
why they're in
invasive
Boston
plants.
is they
Yeah.
wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah, like we don't have to prep the scene at all. Like this is like we just
And
shoot.
those aren't
Yeah.
actually zombies. Those are real Bostonians. That's how they are.
Yeah. Those are real Red Sox fans. Yes.
Except for they edited out the slurs.
Yes. But yeah, I think it's important to like show you like what this world looks like. And also I like but you're gonna lead.
Mhm.
Do I want to go there? I'm gonna go there.
No, let's
But
go there. Let's go
I
there.
like that when they entered the hotel, like they show you like the guy that's like on the ground and he's dying, and they're like,
He's like
"Yeah,
a
just
Spedra
leave him."
soldier, I think. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they're like, "Yeah,
It's
just
a
leave
fresh
him.
death.
Nothing
You
we
can
can do
tell it's
for him."
very fresh.
Uh huh. Yeah.
I would have gone.
So
I would have left
I would have left too.
because I'm like, how do they? Maybe they're just being hopeful.
Mhm.
Because I'm like, you've lived in a zombie apocalypse for how many years now? 20?
Yeah.
And you see a fresh death in an abandoned place.
But yeah, that leads to a question I'm just gonna go ahead and ask. I was I was surprised by the pacing. Were you, if you know what I mean? Like that we reached a
Yes.
certain point so quick because I
But I'm
thought
trying to
that that would
remember
be
at what
stretched
point
out.
in the game that was. Because I feel like that was actually fairly early on in the game, too.
Yes, yes, yes.
So are we getting
I
the whole
thought
game in one season?
it can't be right because
How
I
many
thought
episodes?
that
Hold on.
yeah, I feel like there's like HBO always does like 10 to 12 episodes, but I thought that we would like spend some time like on the journey.
You know
But it
what
seems like
though? Sorry, I think we're getting almost a whole episode of Bill and what's his face.
yeah, that's gonna be a
Where
whole
they're getting a
episode. Yeah.
back. I think we're gonna get backstory episodes because we
Hmm.
also have to get one of that DLC
Hmm.
of how Ellie got infected. That I feel like that's almost a whole episode. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So to stop dancing around what we're implying, like
9 episodes.
they
Sorry,
so yeah they get to the museum where they encounter clickers and basically Joel has to
terrifying.
say
They did
yeah.
it so good. I feel like they need makeup and costume
Hmm.
Emmy. I know people say
Yeah.
it's Emmy, but like it looks so good to me. Like terrifyingly, like you can tell the mushrooms are coming out of the eyes. It looks so real, you know?
Hmm.
I just feel like they deserve an award because that just is, I think that's incredible work. That can't be easy, right?
No, it can't be. And it
Like,
really
did they get
shows
real
like how
mushrooms? I want to know. Like,
yeah, it
I
really
know it's
shows like
prosthetic, but it looks like real mushroom.
yeah, it shows like how they react because they can't obviously they react from like sound. So
It's
you
good
like you have to
acting
be
too,
quiet.
just
Yeah,
like from
it's
with
very good.
extras.
Yeah.
Like that's excellent acting.
Hmm. So yeah, Joel nearly gets washed by a clicker. They fight. They eventually make it out. But first, like like Ellie steps on like that
The
network, and they
threading, yeah.
yeah, and they're able to like discover where they are. But once they finally get out, what we were alluding to earlier, Tess like was actually bitten. Like she's infected now. Like
She's not the only one
and
that's bitten.
mhm, yeah, she's
Ellie
not
got
the only
bitten
one.
too.
Ellie get
But
yeah
then Ellie was like, "Oh, I knew it was going to be one of us," and it flashes right to Tess, and I knew. I mean, I already knew, but
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, that surprised me. I didn't think
it was going
we
to get
would
that
get there so
fast.
soon. Yeah, like second
Because I'm
episode.
pretty
Like
sure
I
they were in
thought,
Pittsburgh when she was bitten.
yeah, yeah,
But I mean, it makes sense that it was Boston.
it
Because
makes
someone's
sense.
going to get bitten in Boston. I mean, it happens every day.
Yes.
I'm going to get banned. I don't care if I get banned. I have no interest in going there. Please ban me. But anyway, yeah. But I think you cannot have Joel and Ellie's story without Tess or yeah, her dying.
But yeah, because I was going to say, like it creates an interesting dynamic because like they kind of like subvert like the roles and typical relationships because like Joel is like this hard and tough guy, but Tess like runs shit. Like Tess is like, hey, we're gonna do this, you do this. So without Tess, like Joel now has to like take care of Ellie, and he really doesn't
She was
want to.
probably the
He
only
doesn't want to
person
at
he
all.
truly like let himself care
Right.
for because
Hmm.
he keeps getting heartbroken. He needs therapy. Too bad that I'm sure therapists probably don't. She needs some therapy. He needs some therapy.
Yeah, a
Like,
therapist is
imagine
like
if it's like a
is
clicker therapist is like,
yeah.
oh, in response.
Like,
But no, I do like because they're not doing the spores. I thought it was a genius thing just to have her bitten
mhm,
again,
mhm.
and the fact it was already healing. Because like that is probably what's going to win you over is like her bite compared to that bite. They didn't have that in the game. In the game, they had her lifting her mask off, which is like whatever. I think comparing her bite to Tessa's bite, that was it. I think it's good for the audience too.
Yeah. So going back to Tess and the scene that is disgusting, but at the same time like kind of brilliant because all right. So it's almost like they say like like you ever visit someone's house and there's like a big dog in the yard and they're like, oh yeah, if you don't run
Oh,
from the
that one,
dog,
yeah, like
yeah,
the.
if you don't run from the dog won't chase you. So that's almost like how the zombies are. Like they react like to like people like
But I'm like, do they
being basically
know? I guess they know she's turning.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So they react to people like freaking out basically. So like when Tess was standing there calm and she's approached by the zombie, it's like we're gonna make this very calm connection. But it was like disgusting, but at the same time it makes sense. And that
It was
calmness,
genius.
it makes it like 10 times worse of like just
I
how
think it was like
calm they
just
were.
speeding
Yeah.
up the process is
Yeah.
what it.
Yeah.
But and also connecting her to the hive or whatever. I
Hmm.
also like how she was struggling with a lighter. Part of me thinks it's because she
Yeah.
was already losing some of her humanity and she's like
Yeah.
fighting to be able
Yeah.
to use
Hmm.
the lighter.
Hmm.
That's what I think it was.
Yeah, at first I didn't think she was gonna get it. I was like, shit.
I like it
Yeah.
so much better because in the game, so what happens in the game is that it's Fedra soldiers.
Hmm.
I like this change so much more. It makes more sense because you don't want to with TV shows. You don't want to introduce too many big bads at the same time. We'll have time, I think, to get introduced to Fedra, but I think people needed to understand that the zombies were the big bad. I think the fireflies, um, one of them getting infected makes more sense, and I think it makes it more scary that it's that many.
Hmm.
So I think it's very cool. Just having all of them. It reminds me of what's that Will Smith movie? I can't remember the name of it.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? I can't
Oh
remember.
yeah,
But where they're all
Emancipation.
running
No,
towards
I'm
the
joking.
house at the
I am
same.
legend. I am legend.
Right. I don't know
I'm
why I couldn't
joking. I
remember it, but they're all running towards the house at the same time. That's what it reminded me of.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but like I said, I'm shocked by the pace, but at the same time, it makes sense because
It
this
makes sense
story
for the
is
game, I
Joel's
guess.
and Ellie's, yeah.
I think
And
we're gonna get more drawn out stuff when it's just Joel and Ellie, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Which is the essence of the series. It's not Joel, Tess, and Ellie. I think they need to kick off the father daughter bonding.
Yeah, which based on like how little of connection they had in this episode, it really makes things interesting now because it's
I'm
like,
just
okay, what do we do now?
I'm wondering where it's ending because obviously they don't release the episode titles until it's like the week before. Next one's is a long, long time. So I'm just very curious as to where this series is going to end or where the season's going to end.
Right, like does this go like this the because I'm sure this is planned to be like multi seasons, well at least
I do
two.
think The Last of Us Part 2, like the game, could be if they were to do that route, that could be broken up into two seasons
Mhm.
because it's really a two-parter game. And I'm not getting spoilers, but could you imagine? You know how angry people were with that game, the start of that game, which
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't
I
really
didn't
have a problem with. I
yeah.
didn't. It makes sense for what they needed to do. I think
Yeah.
people are just attached. I can't go further than that. But could you imagine how angry the show watchers are going to be? I feel like they can't do that because they got Pedro
Mhm.
Pascal. Oh, you might have
Mhm.
to cut that. That's too much of a spoiler. But
Mhm.
the game's been out for 10 years, so
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty. Well, actually, the second one's been out since 2017. So
Cause yeah, I keep thinking like how far like
yeah, because
well
that's a
not even
big
the show
moment.
yeah, like not even the show, like how far does season one go?
It's 9 episodes,
Oh, nine. Okay. Okay.
so it's shorter. So, but the thing is, it's like I don't want like filler or whatnot. So they got to figure out something to do. But I'm confident in them. They're clearly good at making some material on their own. Because like
Mhm.
half of episode one wasn't even in the game.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and they were able to get like a lot of mileage out of the just the opening like cutscene pretty much because that was
I
like
wonder
what
if
like
they
I
did
looked
some
up and it was like
filler
20
of
twenty
like
five
how
minutes.
Firefly started. That would be good
Yeah, yeah.
because they're really good at providing backstories. So
Hmm.
I think, and I like that. I'm fine with like a backstory episode. Half of an episode is backstory, and then we're introduced to the characters. I think it makes sense for what it is.
Yeah, so I feel like that's what they'll do because we know Marlene like has like a much bigger role in the show. So yeah, we're probably going to get like a lot of like backstory, a lot of like one-off episodes showing like people's
And I
lives
don't see us getting
before.
to that point at the end. There's
Yeah,
too
yeah, I
many
don't.
stakes. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that's such
yeah.
a big pivotal moment. I would like to maybe see like maybe we get some glimpses of attempts at vaccines, maybe some looks at Fedra. I'm confident in their writing abilities.
Yeah, yeah, so am I. Like I've seen enough already, like from episode 2, to
I
know
trust
that
them,
like
yeah.
we're in safe hands. So whatever direction they go in, like I know it's gonna be good.
So I'm just really curious. Yeah, I'm very curious about the pacing. But yeah, Tess basically she gasolines. What is it? The capital.
Hmm.
Well, not January 6th capital, but
Yeah,
Boston,
yeah, but boss,
which
yeah,
deserves it.
which still deserves
She
it. Yeah.
January 6th Boston, which is
Hmm.
fine. And nothing changed. It looks the same. It's all the same people.
A lot of
Except for this time
overlap
they could
there.
actually climb. But yeah, so they're headed to Nick Offerman's place. So I
Hmm.
forgot the other character's name. They're
Yeah, I forget the
lovers.
other character's name.
Yeah, they're lovers, but it's showing their backstory basically, which I think
Mm.
is great. I loved the line in the trailer that's like, I can't just provide one bum free food because everyone's gonna want free food. I'm not in Arby's, and he's like,
Arby's,
Arby's
yeah,
never had free food, and he's looking at him
yeah,
confused, like
yeah,
that. I love like those comedic breaks. They're fantastic. Because I don't think
yeah.
like these dark things always need to be so dark all the time. I think you
Right.
need a little bit of comedy.
Yeah, like and
And that's Ellie most of the time. That really is Ellie most of the time. But when it's not Ellie, I think that's great.
yeah, and I will say that's the one thing that that the show can't be like just all like dark and gloom. And I think that's why like we're getting that episode
That's why
3
The
because they're
Walking
gonna
Dead is so exhausting.
The Walking Dead is shit. Yeah, so I think we're gonna get like some levity injected to like break up
Because the
like
game has those
potential monotony.
moments.
Right, 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 right.
I think video games do that well. They will have everything. So,
Hmm.
I'm excited. This is like I haven't felt so long in a show where I'm like, oh, I need to hurry up and see. I'm like watching all the videos.
Hmm.
So it's nice, and it's always HBO too. Like they really get the golden ones.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. HBO
which is
is like
why their
always
app
like
is
really
allowed to be
selective.
such trash because they have all the good
Yeah.
shit. They have the best shit, so they know their app can be trash.
I'm sorry, I gotta
It's
say
the
something.
worst
So
app
all right, so I gotta say
with the
something.
best content.
A lot of people have beef with HBO Max, like not having a rewind button. I'm like, I never needed to
That's
rewind on HBO Max
It
though.
has a
So like, I
rewind
guess
button. What do you mean? I rewind all the time.
I know, but people say it doesn't work well.
It
Allegedly,
works
I
for
don't
me. It's
know.
like every 15 seconds.
But okay. So I'm like, why are you
Oh,
needing
you
to
can't
rewind so
speed
much?
rewind. But why
Yeah,
would you
like
do
so.
that?
Why yeah, exactly? Why would I
Mine
need
is
that?
just like the app works terribly.
Yeah,
It's glitchy.
yeah,
It crashes.
yeah. It
But
does
they can
crash a
because they
lot.
have the best content.
It does crash a
Maybe it's
lot.
because there's
Yes.
so many people tuned in at the same time. That's why no other app has that problem.
Hmm.
I mean, that's true. I actually just no other app has that many people trying to tune in at the same time.
Yeah, that's a good problem. Like you just gotta deal with it.
They just have so much good content. Like they're really the franchise starter. Good for HBO. Don't ever hire Dave and Dan again.
No, no.
I need them to be jobless.
Also, while I'm here, so we are a TV podcast. So like because he
Yeah.
appears and like this guy appears in like the next episode, but he's also in a much like ballyhooed like HBO show. So I tried to watch The White Lotus like over like Christmas break. And I typically don't do this, but that show is terrible. I'm disappointed in everyone who likes it
Liked
because like
it.
it is.
I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
it's
it's
as like
terrible.
boom boom like incredible as everyone says. I found it entertaining.
Like I couldn't finish season 1, and I very rarely just give up on a show unless it's Why the Last Man.
I
But
was
I
gonna
could
say
not
this is Why
finish.
the Last
Yeah,
Man.
but I couldn't
That was one of
finish
the
it.
worst shows of all time.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm judging you out there. I'm judging you
I
all.
can see why. I like it though. I think it depends on your tastes.
Yeah, I mean, my taste is good shows. So yeah.
I don't know. You're the one that was like, "Why the Last Man is going to be such a good show. We should
Because
do
it's
this."
based on it's
I
based.
think that's the only time we've not finished a show for a podcast.
Hmm. Hmm. The only
because we
time.
just couldn't do it. We couldn't even do it out of hating. Like we couldn't even hate for fun.
It's not even fun to hate on it. Like, and I love hating, so like
It's like
just
I will
imagine
never
that.
get these precious minutes back in my life. Do I really want to spend
Right.
it watching this?
Oh, this show is terrible. But yeah. Um so yeah.
I had to
The Last
watch
of
Children
Us,
of Men to like be happy again.
which is really saying something.
I mean, it's a great form of media, but I think they got the idea from that.
Yeah.
So I had to watch Children of Men to feel something,
Yeah.
which is one of the greatest forms of media of all time. I'm going to say that.
No, it is. It's one of my
Across,
favorite
and I
movies.
say
Like
media
it's
because across TV shows, movies, it's one of the greatest forms of media of all
yeah,
time.
it's like one of my like top five movies of all time. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like it's unquestionable. But anyway, we're not talking about that. We are talking about The Last of Us, which is fantastic. There's just, I guess because I played the game, it's like, oh, this is new information. I love how loyal they are to it while building upon it in a great way. Um, the pacing matches the game. And here's the thing about the game why we're worried, because the game, it's like you have all this like in between, you're platforming, you're reading
Mm,
things. So I'm like, how are they gonna match that in a TV show? Because that's where a lot of video game adaptations fail. Is that piece? So it looks like they're not going to do it. I'm kind of sad because there is a part in the game where you see like the two skyscrapers, like you actually have to platform up one and
yeah,
back
yeah,
down it,
yeah.
which is kind of where this happened. I know it's not feasible. I really wanted to see that, but I know it's not feasible. It would have been really cool. That was like one of my
Well,
favorite things in a game ever. Because then it wasn't
yeah,
even worth it.
yeah. I don't know. I'm like you said. I'm curious to see how they like fill in
Because that
like
was like 10
those
hours
little
just like going
bits.
up that
Yeah.
and down that.
Uh
10
huh.
hours of your time just for it to
Hmm.
be a bad idea. That's that game. It's like 10 hours of your time for it to be a bad idea.
Hmm.
But I think we'll get more Fedra stuff next week. I think it's going to be a
I
lot of
think so.
Bill and what's his face, because it looks like it's going to be some backstory. So I would
Mm.
like to, yeah, I do. I would like to see pieces of like we're 20 years. Like, what did it look 5 years into it, 10 years into it? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah,
And I'm just curious about the pacing. Because they have said there might be a Last of Us 3. Um,
hmm.
yeah. I would like to see it because it's not over,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm just curious as to how they're gonna do it. Because also this is some big money, so I don't see this only going like a couple seasons.
Nah, nah. HBO. I'm pretty sure they
All
just
right,
wrote the
so
blank check for this.
spoiler warning. You shouldn't even watch this if you don't want to see game spoilers. So, at what point between you and me, what point do you think they're going to stop this at? If you had to guess, like this season, because it's not that. And I'm trying to think about where in the game is like a good stopping point.
Yeah, and I really can't say. Like I don't know. Like
I
because
haven't played it
based
in a
on
while, but
yeah, yeah, because based on like the pace we're at now, like I'm like where do you end it at? Like for a season, for like a season. Because
then
like
because you
because
have to start up, yeah,
yeah,
because you have to pick up
because
where.
I guess like my question to you is like
Actually,
how much real estate can they get out of like the first game? Like
so
how many
remember for this
seasons?
season, you know who they hired is the original voice actress for
Hmm.
Ellie's mom.
Hmm.
I wonder if we end on how there's some theories going around about how Ellie is immune. That would be a really cool way to end it.
Yeah, like that would be
Like she
like
got
a
bit when she
good
was pregnant.
yeah.
Like, what if we ended on that information? That would be really
Yeah,
cool.
that would be like a good cliffhanger for another season. So I can see that. Okay.
But how would we? I'm just wondering, but where in the pacing are we going to
Yeah,
stop?
like
I'm so audience. Where do you think we're going to stop? I'm so lost because it's like one of those games where there's always so much going on. Hold on until the end.
So
Just
yeah,
forget about it.
question for the audience out there. Like, where do you think it's going to cut off?
I was so wrong. Part two came out in 2020.
No way.
Yes.
Nah.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it at all.
Hold on. I want to make sure I'm not. It had to see the pandemic has, yeah, release date June 19, 2020. So even after the pandemic, oh my God. Why did I think 2017? Like 2017 sounds right, right?
Like I didn't even question that. I was like, yeah, that sounds all right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was like we were like deep in the shit in the pandemic when it dropped. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just don't remember that. Like that.
It doesn't feel like that at all.
No. Sorry, I'm like trying to process this right now and I'm like making sure that's correct.
Because I will say this. I guess I had to like come to
Oh
terms
wait, sorry.
like
I was reading the plot and I just figured out where they're probably gonna end it. Sorry.
okay.
Go ahead.
I feel like this one you don't need to say on air, just in case.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it after we're done recording though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because I was like skimming the plot because I'm like there has to be and I found it. I'm pretty sure this is it. But yeah, I can't believe it. Like pandemic timing. I would love like what I think is they're gonna. There is a lot that happens on in between, but I think there's so much travel, so the game doesn't make it feel like it's that much travel. You know what I mean? Because you're like you hit cities, because it's not like a continuous type of thing. So I wonder if they're just gonna fill in the blank, and that would make sense. It would work. I
Yeah.
trust them.
Yeah.
2020. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Because like I just had to wrap
It
my
just
mind around the fact
happened.
that the first one is a decade old. Like I just accepted that. It's
Literally
almost
this
like one.
year.
It's like one of those things where you're like, oh yeah, I graduated high school like 5 years ago. Like no, it hasn't been 5 years. It's been like 15. But yeah, so like it does
Oh, I
like
saw someone on Twitter. They were like, "Oh, I was talking to this child, right?" And they're like, "Oh, I can't believe you were born in the 1900s." It's like, first of all, rude. And they're like, "Oh, what year were you born?" And they said 2015. I know that one
no,
hits because it's like, oh, it's the early 2000s. It's like whatever. You know what I mean? It's not huge, but 2015. Like
mm-mm.
we were adults. Like that's when it hurts. Is like when it's something that's a sentient being and you were an adult when they were born.
Like no one was born in 2015. Like I refuse to accept it. Like nah.
No one was born after I graduated high school.
Yeah, we
Period.
weren't bringing like after yeah, like after 2010, like no new humans were brought into this world. Like nah.
Yeah, it's literally children of men. I wonder if that's how the concept came to me. Is they're like, you know what? Screw this.
Yeah.
No one's gonna call me old anymore. I like how somehow we circled back.
Yeah, we always circle back.
We always
But
said we
yeah,
didn't even need D2. We didn't even need to D to circle us back. But
yeah,
anyway,
I
yeah. So it's not like
yeah.
listen. I don't want people to think this because this one might. Well, first of all, it's 45 minutes, so we're still good. But it's not that we didn't like the episode. It's just like there's nothing to say. It's sometimes things are so good. There's nothing to say other than like yeah, it's great. Except for we need to address this. Bella Ramsey. I think they use they pronouns now.
Okay.
I think they're fantastic. A great
Yeah.
actor, but some people just look British.
Yeah, I put that in a
I
group. I
can
was like
tell you're British. Like I think
like
Millie Bobby Brown gets away with it because I feel like oh yeah maybe Millie Bobby Brown could be from California, but Bella Ramsey, this is nothing against you. I think you're fantastic. You just have one of the most British looking faces I've ever
yeah,
seen.
like
You look
Bella
so
Ramsey
British, and I don't know how to explain it.
like Bella Ramsey looked like they can be like an Arsenal midfielder or something. Like they like just aggressively
And
like
that's nothing
British
against, and that's nothing.
and
It's not
nothing
about like appearances. It's
because they're
people look
doing a great job.
American and
Yeah,
people look British.
yeah.
And it's only like British people that look like that. Like I can't look at like someone that's French and be like, oh, there's French just by their facial features. Like for some reason, British people just look a certain way
Yeah, and yeah, like when I look at Bella Ramsey, I was like, yeah, like I hear
in a
like I
very
don't
good
hear the
American accent,
accent.
by the way,
Yeah,
very
yeah, very
good.
good.
But you can't turn off the British face.
No, you can't.
I'm what in my mind, my headcanon is that they're like one of their parents was like an immigrant from England or something. And it don't
Yeah.
make sense. I'm just like, oh my god, it does take me out a little bit.
Mhm.
I wonder if like British people know that they clearly look British.
Yeah, like and it's always like just like in here, like the nose, like it's like the nose and like the mouth that makes it look. Yeah,
It's just so funny. It's like it doesn't even matter. Like it's not even just like Caucasian British people. Like I don't know what it is. Like you can always tell when someone's British.
yeah, yeah. My wife was like, because like I'm a Manchester United fan, and like she saw like Marcus Rashford, she was like, oh yeah, I can tell he's from England, and I was like,
Yeah,
how do
like
you know? It's
it's
just
like a
like the nose,
universal
like yeah,
thing. It's a
yeah,
universal. It's like we're gonna call it the British diaspora.
yeah.
Like they all look British.
Yes,
I feel like this needs to be explained because, like I said, I'm like, what is it, like 3 or 4 generations removed, and that's gone. So why does that happen?
but
I'm like, can you tell
it's
Americans are American by just looking at them? I don't know. I don't think so.
yeah, I guess because we have like fat necks or something. I don't know, but like you like, but you could
We're a little
definitely
bit of
tell though.
everybody, so
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
harder.
Like what's his name? Like Henry Melling that was in like the Harry Potter movies. Like you look at him and you know like he's like from some town that ends in Shire. Like you just know, like
Right, exactly. Like, well, just even like the main actors, they just look
yeah,
British. There has
yeah.
to be a study on this.
But yeah, I think that's a good point to wrap up
Anyway, like I said,
Last
Bella
of Us.
Ramsey,
Yeah.
we love you. It's just
Yeah.
you
Great
look
job.
British.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's yeah. Well, even like the way they purse their lips, like only British people
Yeah.
do that. Americans
Like,
do not do that.
yeah.
I think maybe if one thing is like maybe the face acting needs to be more American, and I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah, like that's
I feel
almost
like
something
British
that has to be
people
like
like
lived
emote
in.
more with
Yeah.
their mouths, and we
Right.
emote more with our eyebrows.
Right.
Does that make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So I guess that's my only notes.
Yeah. Only notes. Yeah.
New poll. Do you think Bella Ramsey looks British? Yes or no?
But yeah, we'll wrap up
Anyway,
here. Thanks for watching. Join us
R.I.P.
for Last
Tess.
of
You were
Us.
real.
Yeah. RP. Yeah. What a way to go out. RP test. But yeah, until next time. Peace.
I can't get